Good morning. Welcome to the Arsenal BiteSize Podcast. I'm FPL Nima with my co-host at Clates AFC Clayton on Twitter. We're going live just after 10 a.m. on Good Friday. So happy bank holiday for everyone listening in the UK. Make the most of this 4-day weekend and the ultimate kind of end destination, which will be Anfield on Sunday. So we're going to give you a preview of the Liverpool match. I don't know if I feel anxious or excited, but this will be a real test. I feel
I'm
like this
excited.
is it. Yeah, like I'm
Um,
excited to see where we're at.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like don't get me wrong, I'm nervous, as like we get into the discussion and stuff. But yeah, like you said, it feels like this is a test of where we're at, right? And yeah, I mean, to be the champions, you do have to kind of go to these sort of places and see what you're made of anyway. So yeah, bring it on. Sun is shining, which was a nice pleasant change in England. But yeah, should be a good weekend, I'm hoping.
yeah. No, I'm really excited, and obviously, we will talk about like predicted lineups and stuff. But one thing I did see was the news yesterday that there was kind of no photos of Salah in training. I don't know whether that's just mind games. Other players like Diego Jota weren't in training either, so I don't think he has an injury. So it can't be that they weren't, missing training for injury reasons. It might just be they were
Yeah.
given a day off for all we
I'm
know.
sure I saw that's is it Spion or Spion Cop, however you
Mm.
pronounce that. He said yeah, it was just like a scheduled day rest and stuff.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I think people were getting a bit excited. Like I was in my office yesterday, and this Gooner turns around and goes to the Liverpool fan, "Yeah, Mo Salah's ruled out this weekend." I'm like, guys, like slow your horses, mate. Like, guy's not in a photo. Like that don't mean shit. I've been burnt by that 2 times before. So I think the other side of this for me is I'm really interested to see what front three we're going to go with, just because ever since Jesus came back, like it just seems crazy to not have him start a game of this magnitude. But then Trossard's been absolutely incredible. So
Yeah.
it's actually really difficult, I think, for the manager here. He's
Well,
got
should
a
we go straight
hard
into it
choice to
then?
make. Yeah, yeah. Why don't we actually? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's. I guess that's where we're kind of the forward line is what's driving me nuts. I'm of the thought that Trossard won't start, but he scored a hat trick there at Anfield earlier this season, so it's a bit like, do you really not start the guy who scored a hat trick at this ground
So
this season?
it's interesting you bring that up because one of my closest friends, he said that to me as well. He was like, "Oh, well, Trossard scored a hat trick with Brighton at Anfield this year, so like, would you just put him in because like it was something along those lines?" And me personally, I don't really buy into that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, I couldn't, like, I'm not dismissing it as an idea, but I just think you're playing in a different team, completely different circumstances. Like, I just think of course, psychologically, there is a little something there. Like, yeah, but I think at the top level, I don't think Liverpool will be looking at it like, oh, Trossard's in the lineup, he scored a hat trick against us.
They're
And
not going to be scared, yeah.
yeah,
They're
like,
going to be
I
scared
think
of the rest of the attack
exactly,
and what they've
yeah.
been doing all season, like
They're
what
just gonna,
Martinelli and Saka did to them
yeah.
at the Emirates.
Exactly. They're going to assess it holistically as a thing, not like to such a granular level like that. And even the players, I don't think they'll be like, oh, Trossard, mate, you scored a hat trick at Brighton. You need to be starting. I think it's just like you give yourself the best solutions as a team to win the game. And in my opinion, that includes Jesus, Saka, Martinelli. I think, especially, I don't know if this is like overthinking things, but I think especially if Saliba's out, which it looks like he is, and like Rob Holding's there. And Rob Holding's done fine against Palace and Leeds, but it's a different ball game away at Anfield with like the space you're going to have to defend, the pace and movement of like Darwin, Salah, and stuff like that. I think with someone like Holding in, I think the pressing from the front has to be absolutely spot on in the terms of how we defend from the front so that we don't allow ourselves to be open in transition, which we've looked a bit more susceptible to. And as a result, that's why I think Jesus
Mm.
absolutely has to start. And yeah, of course, it's so harsh on Trossard, but
And I think
we
key
we
thing
were
is we also don't have Tomiyasu, who obviously at the
yeah,
game at the Emirates, he was basically relied on to just man mark Salah
nullify
and
Salah,
every long
yeah,
ball to Salah. So
and what a job he did.
he did, right? Like Salah got subbed off like 60th minute, 65th minute for a
Yeah,
CDM. Like that was wild. So with him out as well, I know like I don't know, maybe he wouldn't start this game, but you would think that this was the type of game where if we were like in a good position and we were entering the final 30 minutes, like Tomiyasu would be one of the first subs on to like just completely close out their chance of scoring. So you are right. I think not just the pressing from the front angle with wanting Jesus there and our best pressers to lead the line to avoid those transitions, but also we're not going to have like that kind of I guess, our best 1v1 defender, as Arteta and co seem to call him, in Tomiyasu available. So
But the flip
there's a
side,
few changes.
obviously, in that home game, we didn't have Zinchenko, right? And
Mm.
level of control, because I think the last few games for me where we've been struggling is when it turns into a chaos type game and it's a bit more basketball. And I feel like at Anfield, that's what could happen. But having someone like Zinchenko there, because if we go there and quiet the crowd down, like Spurs away, Brentford away, Fulham away, just go there, play our game, like play really boring for a few
Just
minutes.
kill their entire mood, hopefully. Yeah.
Having someone like Zinchenko there who can go into the midfield and do that along with Partey, Odegaard, Jacket, like it gives us a different dimension. So of course, on one hand, we're missing Tommy's 1v1 defensive ability, but I actually think having someone like Zinchenko will help us control the game, which will suit us better. Yeah, so
That's a really good point, actually. So I guess because one of the things that where Liverpool have been weak this season is actually their midfield, right? So we saw it against Man City; they were just kind of walked straight through. In that case, I think our midfield, like that kind of overloaded box of four, the box shape we have with kind of the two almost like sitting back and two sitting right in front in a square shape. A lot of the time we have, and then they have what their three midfielders. Like hopefully with Zinchenko being part of that box you got what is it, Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard, and Zinchenko, like in this box. Like
yeah,
that box should hopefully be way better than their midfield, I would think.
you'd
Their
hope so.
attack is
Yeah,
still scary, right? So that's
yeah,
scary regardless. I think we could definitely agree on that. And as terrible of Liverpool have been away this season, they have still been pretty damn good at Anfield. So
yeah.
that is another thing that kind of slightly concerns me. I do think a lot of this will come down to like, will Trent start? So we'll talk a bit about their lineups. I know he didn't start in the midweek. I think if Trent starts, I think Martinelli is going to have a lot of joy like he did at the Emirates. So that's a
So
key part of the kind of how will the matchups go. I think there's going to be individual battles and duels, right? Where our players need to win those duels. Like
yeah,
we can't be losing those duels. If we do, we will lose this game. Like every fine margin is going to count. And just
we
on
need
holding,
duels.
yeah, duels. Got to when I lose my duels,
When I lose a
I,
duel, I'm upset.
I am upset. Oh, I love that. A quick shout out as well, by the way. Morning to Mike Halpin. Thank you for tuning
Morning,
in,
mate.
and sorry
Yeah,
for the
so I
delay.
can't get the chat open today. So
All good. So I'm just gonna say on holding as well. Um, yeah, man. Like obviously, like I think Saliba is still maybe like a late test. Apparently, like you never know, right? Like we were told
do you
Trossard
think
was
it's a
out.
bluff then?
I don't know, maybe because like Trossard was going to be out for weeks, and then he just like started a game, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, where did this guy come from? So I don't know, man. Like, part of me thinks like if he's being managed regardless, and they're saying like, oh, he don't need surgery, and they'll just do it in the summer or something. Are they just going to inject the fuck out of Saliba and just like whack him in this match and be like, okay, mate, this is one of the three matches we want you. This one, City at the
Uh,
Etihad and
and then
Newcastle at
sit
St
out
George,
like
and then sit out
Southampton.
everything else. Yeah. And
Okay,
just sit out every game. We're just going to risk you for these 2-3 games. We absolutely need you, kind of thing. I don't like, part of me thinks that if he hasn't trained, that won't happen, obviously.
yeah,
But let's say today or tomorrow he trains and they hide those training photos from the media and it's all like mind games.
interesting.
Because imagine your Klopp, right? Your players are tired. They've played on Tuesday or whenever it was. They played recently. And
Well, they
then
rotated half their team to be
they
fair,
did,
so
didn't they? But still, they played on Tuesday against Chelsea. So it's what we say, right? They've not had the full week to
the
prepare for this match.
preparation.
Like mentally,
Yeah,
they were preparing for Chelsea, right? So they've now prepared, and preparing for an Arsenal team with Saliba or without are two different things. So I
yeah,
do think that if there's any even small chance that he can get an injection and play through that pain, I think they will take it because
interesting.
Klopp will have prepared for a match against Holding, and that would throw his entire plan out the window the moment the game kicks off. If Saliba can get through this, so I'm like very like slightly optimistic. I would say maybe it's just denial that I don't want to accept we're about to go to Anfield and as good as Rob
Without,
Holding has been, but it's
yeah,
going to be without our Rolls Royce of a centre back in Saliba. So maybe I'm just in denial. I don't know, but I just want to put
yeah.
that out there because
No, it's interesting. Yeah,
because
I
they're
guess
saying
the
that you
only
can
flip.
manage him, right? So it's like, but like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd say on that is like I think Liverpool will be preparing for both scenarios, to be honest. I think we underestimate how much planning and prep goes into these games these days. But yeah, that's an interesting take though, because I kind of just took it at face value, like, oh, he's out. But yeah, The
So there
cynic in
was
me
stuff
is
he was
very
out,
like,
right? I think that's what's quite confusing for me. So there was some stuff that came out. I was like, oh, he's like definitely out, and that was said like say a day before, and then like Arsenal press comes out and it's kind of just like, oh, like he's a major doubt. Doesn't say he's ruled out, but everyone else is saying he's ruled out. So how come all the media have jumped the gun and said he's ruled out, and they're like definitively saying he's ruled out, but then Arsenal are like, oh no, he's a major doubt. Is that just us playing mind games to make Klopp think Saliba might be ready, but he's not? So maybe you're right. I don't know. It sounds like it's a lot of mind games going on here.
The only thing I'd say on Holding, like, I'm not trying to make out he's better than he is or anything, but the games we've all got PTSD from, he had El Neni, Cedric around him. Like as a unit,
Nuno
it's very
Tavares
different now.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I forgot about
Oh
that.
god, there was like
yeah,
that team was mad.
Yeah, at Anfield last year, we had Tavares, Lokonga, and then the one I'm referencing is Spurs away, where obviously you had Cedric
That
on
was
his
pain,
right
yeah.
and El Neni in front. So it is a different unit. So the severity of his limitations may be limited. Like, is that glass half full thinking?
No. I
Maybe,
think
but
that's right. No, I think that's spot on. Actually, I think a lot of people give it Holding stick, and the reality is, like if you got Ben White, who's like was one of our best centre backs last year, is now that probably one of the best right backs in the league, and he's there able to come back and support his friend Holding. That's a very different thing than having Cedric there to support
yeah,
you. That's
I just think
having Party in front of you instead of Lokonga, like or El Neni even. Like these are massive changes to the structure.
Yeah, like where I'm at is like if they isolate like Darwin 1v1 with Holding, I'm concerned because I don't think Holding's very good at defending acres of space. I don't think he's good at kind of proactively reading areas he needs to be in. He's very good at like front foot your dad defending, like lower league gets stuck in sort of thing. But I just think as a unit, if we're well drilled and we cover the space as a team, he may not be in positions to get isolated, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Maybe that's wishful thinking.
I'll just be interested to see how this goes either way. If this is the lineup we go for, I can't
Yeah. So
think
go on.
there's too many complaints.
What's your front three you're going for them?
Yeah, so I'm going to go for the Martinelli, Jesus, Saka front three. I think it just seems too obvious. Like it just seems overthinking to put Trossard just because of his record before, but he'll be a fantastic option off the bench.
Yeah. Well, we were crying out for options like this like a year ago, right? So like
even just at Newcastle, man, like when we couldn't score at the Emirates, like
literally
we brought on Tomiyasu and that was it. And we left the rest of the 10 on the pitch, and it was like, well, this is the only players I have that could maybe score a goal. So why would I sub them off? There's no one on the bench who can change the game here. Yeah, now I'm hoping Smith Rowe has a moment soon. I'm hoping Jesus continues. Obviously, we said in the last episode when we reviewed the Leeds game that how important that second open play goal was for Jesus, not just the penalty, but to be able to score a team goal like that and just the determination to get onto the end of it. But with Jesus, I think we have an unpredictability that it's just going to cause chaos in Liverpool's box. I honestly think that he is not someone they're going to want to face. So it would be madness to not start with him when he's basically 100% at this stage.
Yeah.
Now with Trossard, he's actually so I think he will come on. But one thing I want to say about him is he could on Sunday break like an all-time Prem record of the number of goals scored at a single away ground in a season.
Is it?
I think the most is 4. So I think Arshavin is one of them with 4 at Anfield.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then there's another player, I've forgotten who it is, but it's someone like a Suarez or an Aguero or someone like that. But if he gets 2 goals off the bench, maybe he starts. But if he gets 2 goals at Anfield, he'll have 5 and he'll be the new record holder for most goals at an opponent's away ground in a season ever.
What an obscure stat.
I always somehow pick up these.
You always find these random
shit possible. But no, like I was gonna say, like I could see a world where Trossard could start on the left.
Yeah,
but that is still possible, and maybe Martinelli comes on against tired legs. So I don't think he's only there for the forward position. So there is still options, but with what Martinelli did to Trent last time, I can't imagine him not wanting to start Martinelli there as well. So I think that front three picks itself, and then the midfield. Obviously, as long as everyone is fit and we've not been lied to in presses later on, it will be like the standard, Xhaka, Odegaard party, I think. And the only difference in the back line is Holding for Saliba, I reckon. So White, Gabriel, Zinchenko for the podcast listeners, and then Ramsdale. So I'd say that this is our strongest team apart from one position, right? So we can't really have any complaints going to Anfield.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a feeling Ramsdale's going to be busy. I think like we're going to play a high line. Liverpool will probably look to exploit it. So Ramsdale's going to need to be very proactive off his line. No mistakes. Like he's made some big consistent saves recently. I'm sure we'll be relying on that. But just on Liverpool though, like having spoken about our
Should we go to
goalkeeper.
their lineup while we chat
Yeah,
about them?
sure.
Yeah, just
But
so we
like
can get an idea. Yeah.
yeah, but having spoken about our goalkeeper, like since I think it was late riser Pranil that tweeted this. Like since the restart, they've conceded the most big chances in the league, but they're the best for clean sheets. So like the yeah, excuse me, they do concede big chances, and we're very good at creating chances. So I just think Alisson's a freak though. So
That's a really good point. So I think Allison is underestimated just how much worse Liverpool's defensive record would be this season if it was any other keeper in goal. He is honestly like he's topping every goals prevented metric for goalkeepers out there in the Prem this season. Like he's just flying up that table. Like
yeah,
he must have prevented like in the stats when I last checked. It's been a while, but it was already like over 7, 8 goals he'd prevented on his own just this season, and which is
yeah,
a lot for a goalkeeper.
he is mental. But yeah, so like the graphic we've got on the screen was their lineup in the 0-0 draw against Chelsea, which was Alisson, Gomez, Matip, Kanate, Simicas, Henderson, Fabinho, Jones, and then up front Jota, Firmino, Nunes. So lots of
Were you
changes. Do we?
surprised by that?
Yeah, big time. I mean,
Surely
I
you
don't.
would think they would want to get like in a very elusive top four challenge that's looking less and less likely by the day. You would think they'd want to go and try get the 3 points against a managerless Chelsea at the time, no? Who were playing so poorly. Like
Yeah,
what,
so like my
what happened? Yeah, like did he have his eyes on this week, or did he
so
just want to like slap them all on the wrist and say you've been playing shit?
that's what I think it was. I don't think like I've seen a lot of Arsenal Twitter saying, "Oh, he's protecting his records, doesn't want Arteta to die." I think it was literally like on the back because that they got beat, like well beat by City. Like they got scored.
They
I
got
think this was,
embarrassed, yeah.
yeah, they
And
got
City didn't
embarrassed.
have
Like,
Haaland or Foden.
yeah, like
Imagine any other team in the league losing Haaland and Foden and then still doing that to like a
I
Liverpool.
know, like that
That's
level of
disgraceful.
control that
Wow.
City had was scary. And
That was
so
terrible.
as
It's
a
like it was like that's the best I've seen them play all season, I would say. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh shit, of course now is when they come into it. Yeah, of course.
same. So yeah, my opinion was it was more like trying to freshen it up, like kind of discipline certain players, like a bit of a wake up call, more than one eye on us. Because yeah, like you said, they're in a top four race. They needed to win against Chelsea. So that's what I think it was more of. But do we dare predict who will come back in? Like,
Yeah, so I can't see a world in which like the two fullbacks at least wouldn't be back in, like Robertson and
in,
Trent.
I could see. So I was speaking to James from Planet FPL, and he made a good point in terms of maybe Gomez does play because of Martinelli, because we
After
saw.
what happened, yeah.
Yeah, obviously we know like Trent's amazing ability going forward, but defensively he can be isolated, and we've seen it this season with our own team in the first few minutes of the game. So
That's
I
true.
thought
But I
that
think at least one of them would be in. So I think
I
because
think Robertson will come
they're
back in
so
because he,
reliant on chance creation from their fullbacks, right? That
yeah,
it's almost like if neither of them are there, I just don't think they're going to create much.
yeah. So I think in the back line, like, I can see James's shout of Gomez playing, but I think Van Dijk and Robertson will come back in because of Saka.
Yeah, I think Van
Um,
Dijk has to come in. Like if he doesn't
yeah,
come in, that is very strange.
it's the forward line I just can't call. Like, I want to
So
say
I
Salah will
think
come in.
Salah will have to come in. Like I'm convinced Salah will come in. I think Darwin will stay because he caused a lot of trouble to us at the Emirates with his like just movement off the ball, and he
Yeah,
just constantly popping up in places and causing a lot of issues to our back line. And that was with Saliba, let alone with Holding. So I'm pretty sure Salah will play. I'm not.
Gakpo,
That's the thing. I'm not
Jota.
convinced Firmino will start. Jota has always done well against us. I remember being at the Emirates last season, I think it was, and
Yeah,
it was just depressing watching what he did to us. Like he just, I'm pretty sure he scored like 3 goals against us like last season or something. Like
yeah.
he's
I remember
not.
that game. It was just like two clinical moments as well.
Yeah,
Like
like Robbo
we were
passed
fun.
one of them to him, and there were just two very clinical moments. Bang, bang. Yeah,
Yeah,
like they just killed us off. So I, I'm convinced, like Salah and Darwin, I'm pretty confident of, but it's that last spot. I don't know if it's like a Gakpo or a Jota. I don't think
yeah.
it's going to be Firmino. I think I just don't think it's going to be Firmino personally.
I
But
think it'll be Gakpo, but it'd be interesting to see. Emma's jumped the wave. Her
that's
like hive
true.
mind. It'd be interesting to see that later.
I'd love to see what the Liverpool fans, yeah, the mass prediction is from their lineup in the midfield. they don't have that many options. Obviously, they've got Henderson, Fabinho, Jones here. It sounds like Thiago might be ready. I know he's
Oh, is
quite
it?
important for them. Yeah, he's quite important for them. But again, like I just feel like he's a great player, but I don't know if he suits the Liverpool system. As silly as that sounds,
I know what you mean.
yeah, it's like I just like I know he's great individually, but I'm not sure that like what he's great at is like the way that Liverpool build up. So
Yeah,
it's just I don't know
because they
something
tried
always
to
felt a bit
transition
weird
in.
there for me.
Yeah, they tried to transition like 100 miles an hour, whereas he likes to take a bit more time on the ball. He'll like slow the tempo down, pick the passes. Like he would suit us to a T.
Yeah, exactly. It's so frustrating. I just hope that whatever happens, right? I just want to see like a really entertaining match. I think for neutrals, this Arsenal Liverpool game is going to be mental. Am I right in saying that Arsenal Liverpool is one of the highest scoring fixtures in the Premier League? Like just
I couldn't tell you.
historically.
I wouldn't be surprised. We've
There's,
taken a few
there's been,
batterings there.
but then we've also done our fair bit, like the 4-4s and things like that. Like
Yeah.
there have been some wild score lines between these two teams. I think I'm pretty sure it's one of the highest scoring. So like someone on the FPL point of view, he was like, "Should I have free hit this week? I have 5 players in this Liverpool Arsenal game," and I was like, "But like, don't you think it will be high scoring? Like, why are you free hitting them out? Like,
Is
and then he's
that the
got like
segue?
4 players. Yeah, yeah.
Score
So
prediction?
yeah, let's do score predictions. So what do we think will happen?
Well, that's so if you go on the next slide, I've annoyingly
Oh,
put
these are the
the
previous
previous.
matches. Oh shit.
Yeah. So again, like I said, I don't really buy into this sort of stuff because basically the reason I've put this in is I was saying to Nima, admin error, I've kind of messed up the spreadsheet of our score tracker, so I need to go fix that. So I was thinking, what can I put instead? And I put this nice depressing graphic where it shows two two defeats in the last three. But
It's not as bad as I thought, though, in the last 31. 12 wins for
yeah,
Liverpool,
but
12 draws, 7 wins for Arsenal. But the last three,
yeah,
as you say, obviously, so there was the 3-2 that we won at the Emirates earlier this
yeah,
season, 2-0 at the Emirates the season before, the one that I just spoke about where Jota and Robbo gave me panic attacks. And
and
actually,
then the
that
one
was
in
the
the
game
cup.
I went to, yeah. So, and then the Cup, 2-0 again.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's painful. You know what? It was actually Mike. Mike is the one who helped me and Mariner, FPL Mariner, go to that match when Chris was in the
Oh,
UK
nice.
last year. So thank you for that, Mike. We really enjoyed that. I think Chris enjoyed it more than I did. Those were the days he still had an evil laugh whenever he spoke about Arsenal, like an evil cackle. But this
Does he
season he's
not
moved
like
on to
Arsenal though?
no, he was just laughing when we were doing badly. But then once we
Right.
started doing well, his evil cackle moved on to like Spurs. So he's just always looking for a team to laugh at. And thank God we've gone out the crosshairs this year.
Yeah.
It's like a proper evil laugh. Like the viewers used to always comment on it. They just all loved it so much. And I was always at my bloody expense. I was like on air and like we'd lose a game. I'd go on air and he'd be like, "We'll go to the matchup where we talk about Arsenal."
You
He'd
just
just start
start cackling.
laughing. Yeah. Before anyone says anything, he just start creasing. I think Mike might remember some of those moments. But I'm gonna go for no clean sheet here. I'm gonna go for high scoring. I'm gonna back what I've said so far. I'm gonna go for the same scoreline as at the Emirates, 3-2
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Okay. Interesting. I this in my head could go so many different directions. Like I think I've said before, I think the Anfield crowd 85-90% of the season is so overrated, but the times they get it right are the big games. Like Anfield at a big game is different. Like, yeah, as much as that annoys me to say, because I'll put it out there. I think the rest of the season it is so overrated. Like the thing you never walk alone and it goes very quiet, but the big games, it's one of the best around. And I think what I said about when we went to Old Trafford earlier in the season, I just want to see this team play the game itself, footballing wise, not the occasion. Because I think footballing wise, we're better than them. Like, and that shows how far we've come. That I can say that with so much confidence. Like, I don't know if you actually saw the game midweek, or yeah, obviously you saw the City game as well. Like, they have clear vulnerabilities that can be exploited. Like, of course, they're great going forward, but they can really be got at. And I just think if we can go there, block out the noise, kind of go there, set the tempo, suck out the noise, nab an early goal, just ping the ball about, just really take the sting out of it. I think we can have some joy, but this is where I think my predictions fluctuate from like, I think we're either going to lose, draw, or absolutely win 4-1. Like there's so much like variance and what I think can come from this game. So I'm going to go for it. I think we will get an early goal, and I think we're going to surprise people with the maturity of our performance. I think we have looked susceptible to conceding goals in transition, and I think that will be exploited. But I think there's going to be a level of control, maturity that, like, Spurs away, we hadn't gone there in years, and we went there and we just
Like we
completely
hadn't won
dicked
there
them.
since like what 2016 or something nuts.
Yeah,
Like
and it was the manner of the performance as well. And similarly, I think the last time we won at Anfield in the league was probably 2012 when Podolski, Cazorla, Diaby had
it
that
was the man of the
masterclass.
match, the RB performance, 2-0. I
Am I
remember
right in
that.
saying was that the last time we won in the league there?
That's
So
the last time I remember winning there, and I just
yeah,
remember thinking DRB's back for like the 50th
yeah,
time.
same. And then he got injured a few weeks later. But yeah. So long story short, I think this has the potential to be similar to Spurs away and kind of breaking a hoodoo, surprising people with the level of control and performance. And I'm going 4-2 to the Arsenal.
I like that. Mike's gone for 2-1 to the Arsenal. Thanks for tuning in, Pontus, as well. Lovely to
Nice
see
one.
you,
Cheers,
mate.
guys.
So, Mike, just a few bits to add. I want to put some of Mike's comments. So, these are just some nice comments from throughout the chat. I think they're worth putting for podcast listeners who will have missed them. So Mike obviously was on the show when you were away. So, for anyone who's wondering who Mike is, it's FPL Mike Halpin on Twitter, who came as a guest with Bobby Love when we were doing the review in the international break. So for Holding, he said that he reckons he just needs to manage his moments in this game if he's the one starting.
Let's
For
keep his head.
Jesus, yeah, that's when he needs to keep his head because that's the thing. Like once he gets a yellow, he just needs to keep calm, and I think he will get a yellow if he plays. So
He's someone that worries me about playing the occasion, not the game, because he gets stuck in, right, which is great. But like, I
he's like
think,
a proper traditional defender. Like
yeah,
loves
but
the
even
challenges, loves the slide tackles.
yeah, but last season, when I know it sounds stupid because we lost 4-0, we were fine for a large chunk of the game. And then do you remember Arteta and Klopp got in that
I
riff,
was gonna say there
and
was that
then
little beef, and then the entire stadium
it went
erupted.
into a cauldron, and then it was just like bang. It was. Do you remember in All or Nothing, Arteta said there was some Spanish phrase where you just feel like you're overwhelmed and there's things coming from all directions. Like you could visibly see that last season, and I think that's what I'm talking about. Just don't play to the occasion. So yeah, I agree with Mike
100%,
on
man.
Holding just timing his moments.
And then for Jesus, he says Jesus knows exactly how to play against Liverpool. He was brought back in to start against them last season after not starting for 2 months and scored. So this is an opponent that he knows all too well, and hopefully he continues the scoring run that he is now on since coming back from injury. And then just a final one from Mike is just the PTSD he now has from too many slappings at Anfield in the last few seasons, which I think that's fair enough. I think we all have. I think I have more PTSD about the slappings at Anfield than I do about Holding at Spurs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Same. Because
It's been going on for much longer, right? So we need
yeah.
to get that hoodoo done, as you
I
say.
remember at the time I was at uni as well. Like my best mate, he was a Liverpool fan, so and I lived with him, so it was just like so depressing watching them all the time, like with him. And, yeah, but we're a different team now, right? So fingers crossed, and
So on
hopefully
that note,
Jay's
I'm going to change my prediction quickly while I get a chance.
okay.
I feel more bullish now after a bit more chatting together and how great we are. I'm going to go for 3-1 to the Arsenal instead of 3-2.
Interesting,
I
interesting.
want to see that same matured performance you're talking about. And yeah, we might concede, but it'll be like some crappy consolation goal at the end. And the rest of the game will hopefully look like we dominated and we're very mature. So I'm going to change that too while I still can.
I hope so. I think we just need to make sure this game doesn't turn into a transition like Aston Villa end to end sort of game. Like, and I think having Party away here, like with Zinchenko supplementing him, like that for me gives us the best chance possible of making it a more controlled performance, in my opinion.
Definitely. All right, well let's get out of here for this nice sunny Good Friday. We've
Yeah.
got the weekend ahead of us.
Hopefully Jesus gives us all the very basic puns on Sunday with him
It's
rising and all of
literally
that good
Easter
stuff.
Sunday, right? Oh my God,
Yeah.
this could not have like the narrative, the way this game is
I
lined
missed the
up,
trick
man.
with the title of the pod, didn't I?
Oh yeah, it's like oh, was it Arsenal go to the Emirates for Jesus to rise on Easter Sunday or something like. And why don't we? I'm sure that if we do win the game, let's have a think about the review title. I
Yeah,
think
let's
that's
do
where it
that.
will be more fitting. Let's not preempt Jesus rising on Sunday before it actually happens.
Yeah.
I don't want
Oh
any
man.
jinxes. But thank you, Mike. Thank you, Pontus. Thank you, anyone who watches back on a video on demand or podcast format. This was a nice, quick preview of the Liverpool game. Do let us know in the comments afterwards your predictions. If you think that we're going to lose, win, draw, whichever it is, let us know, please. And otherwise, we will see you after the weekend for the next review. And then we'll also preview, obviously, the following game, which I think is West Ham, right?
Yeah, West Ham away next Sunday.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, good to
Nice
see you,
one.
Clayton. Up the
Yeah, you
Arsenal.
too. Up the Arsenal. Come
We'll
on.
catch you more soon. Come on.